It has been a wild ride so far, but this is slowly but surely becoming my favorite season of the Traitors yet. The gameplay has been all over the place, but it's also been so much fun. And even though there's still a ton of different ways that this thing could shake up, I think I'm starting to kind of get a vision on how this whole thing could end. As always, there's going to be a lot to cover in this episode, but before we dive in, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Now, let's get it started. So this episode kicks off with the Traitors in the turret. Danielle and Carolyn are officially on their own, and now they must decide on who to murder. Everyone was just kind of sort of assuming that Tom would be the one to get murdered here just because he's Tom. But he's also been such a hot mess with his theories, I'm not too surprised that they decided to keep him in the game. Now, we do eventually find out that Chrishell was the one who was murdered just because she was deemed as too faithful, which I do totally get, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if this was the absolute best move because no shade to Chrishell, but that girl just was not super onto it or much of a detective at all. Her reads were just so wrong most of the time, but at the same time, it did seem like she had a lot of social pull there and people did really like her. And she was seen as super duper faithful, so I do kind of sort of understand. I do still think it would have been a little bit better to murder Dylan or Tom instead though, mainly because both of the traitors they caught ended up being guys. It's just pretty safe to assume that a lady would be the next one. So just getting rid of all the guys now would statistically make it a whole lot easier for the ladies to hide in the group. Sorry, fellas. And as we're gonna see later on in this episode, this point actually ends up becoming very, very important. Now, I do want to take a moment to give a special shout out to Sam here because he was able to pick up on something that I'm pretty sure nobody else did at all during breakfast. His theory is that since Alan appeared in front of all the faithfuls at the murder ceremony the night before, then technically only the faithfuls would be able to tell you what Alan was wearing. I just thought this was so genius. I love finding little loopholes like this in the games that I'm sure even the producers don't see coming. So later on, when Traitor Carolyn walks in the room and they all ask her what Alan was wearing, I was getting chills, okay? Carolyn was doing all this stumbling through her answer, and at first I thought that this might be a game changer. But that is until, of course, Tom Sandoval goes and screws it up.
So this is how I, like,
He was wearing...
the black, like...
Well, you can't say...
He was wearing...
No, go ahead. Never mind.
Oh my God.
He was wearing, like, basically a kilt version of, like, a...
Well, I know, but we gotta ask him.
Yeah.
Tom Sandoval, you're an idiot. Like, you're an idiot.
Now, this plan was definitely never going to be 100% foolproof just because people's memories deceive them all the time, but still a very, very good idea from Sam nonetheless. Later on in the day, the coffin theory gets reignited once again, mainly just because the faithfuls really have nowhere else to look. So again, Ciara's name is on the chopping block. And to make things even worse for Ciara, she's pretty much been on Rob's side and defending him all season long. So yeah, from a faithful standpoint, I absolutely get it. And hey, if I was in that game, I would probably think Ciara was a traitor too, not gonna lie. The players eventually arrive to their next mission, and this one is just plain weird. I feel like we are just losing the plot here. Like, the challenges this season have been so hit and miss. They first started off so strong and now we're doing this.
Terrible singer.
So I don't know about y'all. This could totally just be a me thing, but none of these nursery rhymes sounded right to me. Like, when they played all the messages forward, I just was not getting anything at all. I couldn't tell what the hell song was playing. So I don't know how they were able to decipher anything. I would have been useless in this one.
Baba yap yap yap. Buy a box. Yellow box.
Gently down the street.
Row your boat. Got it.
What is it?
Row your boat.
Row your boat.
In the end, they were somehow able to bank all their prize money, and Ciara was even able to find herself a shield. Back at the mansion, it sounds like Ciara's name is the main one being floated around, which again, at this point, I don't really blame the faithfuls for. But Ciara is gonna go on the offense a little bit because of course she should, and she's gonna start pointing the fingers at Britney and Danielle. Those ladies are just an obvious, close, strong duo. And I think Boston Rob's curse might still be on Britney just a little bit for her name to still be in somebody's mouth. So even though Ciara is half wrong here, I can totally see where she's coming from and see where she's getting her suspicions. Overall, heading into the round table, it looks like Britney, Danielle, and Ciara are the main ones who are going to be in trouble. Ciara's name is the first on the chopping block, and they're calling her out for all the stuff that we've talked about before. The coffin thing, the being close to Boston Rob. And Ciara is kind of sort of defending herself okay-ish here, but at this point there's just all of this evidence stacked against her. Again, Ciara does try throwing Britney and Danielle under the bus here at the round table, but she is all alone in her accusations. So when the votes are read, it's no surprise that Ciara is unanimously voted out, meaning the faithfuls are right back to square one. Yikes. This round table was pretty straightforward overall, except for Tom Sandoval's Freudian slip when he accidentally said that women were good at cheating, which everybody's reaction there was totally priceless.
Also, generally speaking and historically, girls are better cheaters than guys just because they have better social skills.
That came out your mouth?
Oh my God, I said cheater. I said traitors. I said traitors. Sorry.
You said cheater!
I meant to say traitors. Guys are obviously much more likely to cheat. I fully get that.
We know you know. We know you know.
Child, good thing Chrishell wasn't there to hear that, because I know she would have tore his ass apart. So since it's assumed that the remaining traitors are ladies, it looks like all the guys have grouped up to kind of sort of form a little alliance of their own. It is also assumed that there are 2 more traitors left in the game, so naturally everybody is looking for 2 women to be working together. And of course, they are spot on in their assessment, which is exactly why I think either Dylan or Tom should have been murdered the day before. Having only women in the game is just gonna kind of even the playing field for the traitors at this point. Now, things are definitely gonna get interesting in the next episode because Carolyn and Danielle have a very difficult decision to make. They can either commit their usual murder, or they can choose to recruit someone else in as a traitor. And of course, Carolyn and Danielle are on complete opposite pages about what to do because of course they are. Danielle wants to bring her friend Britney on board, but Carolyn would rather bring her friend Gabby. Which, duh, this makes total sense. They're each pushing what's going to be best for their own game. But I think this would be more of a defensive strategy since right now everybody is on the hunt for 2 traitors. This option would kind of leave room for one of them to make it out alive, but only one. So Carolyn is pushing to keep it more simple and choosing to eliminate someone instead, likely one of the guys. And these 2 are going back and forth for a while, with Danielle really pushing to bring in Britney. But you know what? Carolyn actually stands up for herself here, and I'm proud of her because her voice gets lost so quickly in these games. Now, don't get me wrong. Danielle is absolutely doing what's best for her game by pushing for Britney. But Carolyn is absolutely doing what's best for her game by shutting that shit down. And don't get me wrong, I'm mainly a Big Brother girly, so I would love to see Danielle and Britney working together as traitors. Like, that is totally the dream for me. But for these 2, I actually think that murder might be the best move here. Again, just getting rid of all the guys puts them in the best position to blend right in. Of course, I want to know, what do you think will happen? Do you think Carolyn or Danielle will get their way? Let me know in the comments below. Carolyn did seem pretty headstrong in the turret, so I'm not sure if Britney is gonna be added to the game as a traitor. But if she does, hey, that's great news for me and Danielle and Britney, but terrible news for Carolyn. Now, as far as the end game goes, I do have a fun theory. Alan has stated 3 times now this season that during the actual finale, nobody is going to reveal their status as a traitor or faithful as they leave. So it's going to be up to the faithfuls to figure out if there are any traitors left in the game on their own. The fact that this is something that they are periodically bringing up in the edit of the show really makes me wonder how relevant it's going to be when the finale comes. So I am going to go out on a limb and I'm going to go ahead and predict that a traitor will successfully fool the faithfuls during the finale. And out of everybody right now, I think that traitor would most likely be Carolyn. I don't think we've heard her name ever actually get brought up by a faithful. And in everybody's exit interviews, literally everybody has been shook so far to figure out that Carolyn was a traitor. So as it stands right now, if I had to put my money on somebody, I would guess that Carolyn wins this game. Of course, I could be totally wrong, but hey, that's just my theory so far. If you have any weird or crazy theories, let me know in the comments below. Of course, I'll be back here next week to recap the next episode with you all. But until then, bye.